Lord says from Luke 23, and when they came to that place that is called the skull, there they crucified him, and the criminals, one on his right and one on his left. That's the sentence that Luke gives us. He doesn't give us any commentary. He doesn't soften it. There's no explanation. All Luke says is they crucified him. So there's a cross that we would rather not see. In other words, we probably would rather not even be here. Not really, but it's easier to skip from Palm Sunday right to Easter. You go from the parade that was the triumphal entry of Jesus into Jerusalem to the empty tomb. And from the cheering to the singing. We'd rather have victory without the cost. In fact, the entire Christian world feels that pull. We're drawn to Christmas, we're drawn to Easter, the whole world is, but to the manger and to the garden, and we're less drawn to the cross. And there's a reason for that, because that cross is not beautiful. It's not inspirational. It's not a symbol of triumph, not yet anyways. On Friday, it is simply an instrument of execution. It's the way the Romans did things. It was efficient. It was designed to humiliate. It was designed to torture. And it was designed to warn. And our Lord hung on one of those crosses. Now, Isaiah saw it 700 years before it happened. All of us know the verse from Isaiah 53. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, and as one from whom men would hide their faces. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Notice that one phrase, one from whom men hide their faces. See, we hide our faces from suffering. That's what we do. We look away from the homeless man on the corner. We often scroll past the news story that is too painful to read. We change the subject when a conversation gets a little bit too honest. We have 1,000 ways of not seeing what's directly in front of us. But the cross asks us to stop hiding. Today, for a few minutes, we don't look away. On Sunday, we stood in the parade and we watched as Jesus rode into Jerusalem. The crowd was cheering, and what did Jesus do? He wept. That was his triumphal entry. And yet, what does he do? He weeps. And we ask, do we see the King for who he actually is? So today, we stand in remembrance of the cross and discover what kind of king he actually was. And he was the king who died. But he also was the God who stayed. Luke tells us that 3 things happened while Jesus was on the cross. Listen to each one. First, he was mocked. And the people stood by watching, but the rulers scoffed at him, saying, "Oh, he saved others, let him save himself. He is the Christ of God, his chosen one." Again, what Luke recorded. And Luke went on and he said, the soldiers also mocked him, coming up and offering him sour wine and saying, "If you are the king of the Jews, save yourself. Save yourself." Now that was the temptation for him of the cross. Same temptation that he faced in the wilderness. The devil said, "If you're the Son of God, prove it." The rulers say, "If you are the Christ, prove it." The soldiers say, "If you are the king, prove it." Perform. Perform for us. Demonstrate. Show us your power on our terms. But he didn't. Not because he couldn't, because that's not who he is. On Sunday and again on Wednesday, we talked about self-giving. It's not something that God does occasionally. It's the God who is eternal. And the cross is the proof. The king who would not perform on Palm Sunday will never perform on Good Friday. He won't save himself because he came to save you and I. And he can't do both. Second, he forgave. And Jesus said in Luke 23, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. While they are killing him, while the nails are still in his hands, while the mockery is still in his ears, the words that he speaks are, Father, forgive them. Not after the resurrection, when he could afford to be generous, not from a safe distance looking back, but in the middle of the suffering. While it's happening, while the pain is at its worst. That's not the forgiveness of someone who's gotten over it. This is the forgiveness of someone who is right in the middle of it. Absorbing it, carrying it, and choosing to love anyways. Third, he promised. And he said to him, truly I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise. A criminal dying beside him says, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And Jesus hanging on the cross, gasping for his breath, hours or maybe even moments from death, makes a promise. Today, with me, paradise. Even on the cross, he was still gathering people into the kingdom. Even while dying, he's still saving. And then finally, then Jesus, calling out with a loud voice, said, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. Luke records, and having said this, he breathed his last. It is finished. He did not come down. He did not save himself. He didn't perform. He stayed. And this is what I need you to hear today, because this is the heart of Good Friday. God never looked away. When we suffer, we wonder if God sees. We wonder if he cares. We wonder if the silence of heaven means the absence of God, and the cross is the answer. God doesn't watch your suffering or my suffering from a safe distance. He entered right into it. He did not explain suffering from the outside. He bore it from the inside. He did not offer a theory about pain. He absorbed the pain into his own body. The book of Hebrews says it this way, for the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross, despising the shame. He endured. He didn't escape. He didn't numb. He didn't look away. And because he did not look away from us, who do you think was in his vision? Today, we shouldn't look away from him. Isaiah said, surely, he has borne our griefs. He has carried our sorrows. He was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. Upon him was the chastisement that brought us peace, and by his wounds we are healed. Our griefs, our sorrows, our transgressions, our iniquities. His wounds are healing. That's the exchange that took place at the cross. He took what was ours, and he gave us what is his. Today we don't explain this. All we do is we can receive it, we can remember, and we can acknowledge. And the way the church has always participated this is at the table. See, Jesus, on the night he was betrayed, knowing what was coming, knowing the cross was only hours away, he took bread. And Luke records, and he took the bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it, and he gave it to them, saying, "Oh, this is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." Given for you. Not for the righteous, not for the deserving, not for those who have it all together, but for you. And then likewise, the cup after they had eaten, he took that, saying, "This cup that is poured out for you is a new covenant in my blood." Poured out, not held back, not measured out carefully, it was poured out. The blood of the new covenant, that's the promise that God has done what we could not do for ourselves. So the table is set for those who trust in Christ. It's for those who confess the need for mercy. It's for those who know they cannot save themselves. It's not for the perfect. It's for the hungry. If you're a follower of him and you desire his grace today, you can participate. You can come as you are. You can come with your grief. You can come with your failures. You can come with your questions. And you can certainly come with your weariness. He didn't look away, and he won't look away on you. Don't look away on him. Francisco, if you'll help me. So Paul makes a statement in 1 Corinthians, talks about receiving from the Lord and passing it on. And he said, "For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you proclaim the Lord's death." That's your testimony until he comes. And he also cautioned and said, "So then whoever eats the bread or drinks the cup of the Lord in an unworthy manner," not spelling it out in a catalog, "but in an unworthy manner will be guilty of the body and the blood of the Lord. Let a person examine themselves, and in this way let them eat from the bread and let them drink from the cup." It's very important that we recognize the Lord's Supper. Yeah, it's liturgy, but it's a practice of remembrance. And it's a command by the Lord to do it often in remembrance of him and what had happened on the cross. For as often as you drink this cup and you eat this bread, you proclaim the Lord's death until he comes. He took the bread. And he broke it and he gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." Let's partake of the bread. And in the same way, the cup after they had eaten, saying, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is poured out for you." This is the new covenant. It's in his blood. It rebuilds the relationship with the Father. That's the remembrance. And he did it for you and I. He didn't look away, and he perfectly understands grief, pain, and suffering. Let's partake. In reality, there's nothing more for me to say today. Absolutely nothing. The cross is spoken. The table's been received in remembrance of what he did. Tomorrow, in reality and traditionally, has always been the day of silence. It's the day between the cross and the empty tomb. The church has always called it Holy Saturday, the day when Christ laid in the grave and the world held its breath. So too, we need to hold our breath with it. But Sunday's coming. I would challenge you to come to the sunrise service, 7 a.m. on the plaza. If you cannot make that, come to our Easter worship service at our normal time. Come and see what God does with a borrowed tomb. For now, we have to sit with Friday. That should be our focus throughout the next 48 hours, not quite. We don't have to rush to the ending. We can stay here at the cross with a God who stayed here with us. And with that, you're dismissed. We have the fellowship hall. I was not going to make this a lengthy day. It's more of a day of remembrance. And again, I've said everything that can be said without belaboring the point. Rest in what he did, silence for tomorrow, but look forward to the empty tomb and Easter.